Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another video. Today's one is going to be a little bit different, a little bit special. If you did see in the previous video, the blurred out spoiler, then you'll know that this video is a little bit different already. If you didn't catch that, sorry. But yeah, today is a little bit different. It is New Year's Day, and we are going to fly to Manchester. I'm going out to Manchester, and I'm going to watch my favorite team, Man City, play at their stadium at the Etihad on Sunday, January 4th against Chelsea. So we got a travel day. We're out there for about 5-6 days. And this video is going to be focused more, again, on improvising and not compromising, and how I train while I'm away on vacation, and how I'm able to still stay consistent and still get in all the training that I need to get in. I will give a little bit of context here. For my training this week, it's been significantly different than weeks prior, and that is because obviously I'm going on vacation. So Monday I had an hour and a half bike ride, did 31 miles on the bike there. And then Tuesday I did a indoor row because the pool is closed, unfortunately. And then yesterday I did a 3.5 hour bike ride, so 60.6 miles. Because when we go travel, there is no bike and there is no pool where we're going. So the only thing I'll really have available to me is strength training and running. That's why we overloaded the schedule in the beginning of the week with more bikes and with a little bit of swim workout, improvised swim workout, the rowing. And when I get there, actually before I get there, I should mention today I've got to run. My flight leaves at 5:45 today, so I'll have a little bit of time before I have to leave to go to the airport, or before we have to leave to go to the airport. I'm going with my family. We got a 45-minute run, super light, super easy. I told him I didn't know what exactly was going on. My coach, I should preface, I told him I didn't know exactly what was going on in terms of when we were leaving, so just had a light run planned for today. That's all right. We had some hard training the past couple of days, so it'll be nice to have a little bit easier run. And then when I get there, we'll be there on Friday. Friday I have a harder run. I think it's around an hour and 20. Let's see, hour 10, excuse me. So we got an hour and 10 hard run. Saturday we've got a 45-minute run, easy, and then Sunday we've got an hour and a half run. So all runs planned for there. I will be doing also some strength work. I don't know how much of it I'll be recording, if I'm being completely honest, but I'll try and film a little bit. Maybe I'll probably go out for a run outside, and I'll just bring my phone and film it with that. But that's all for now. I gotta get going. And now please enjoy watching me fly to Manchester. Well, good evening, everybody. Back from our trip, which was quite eventful, if I must say. We left on the 1st, and then I recorded bits and pieces, little bits of it, but it was actually more, I actually recorded more footage of the traveling than I did of my training out there. And if you're wondering what happened, not that any of you should care or would care, our flight got canceled not once, not twice, but 3 times when we got to Amsterdam because of so-called bad weather. It was not even close to bad weather at all. I mean, it was like nothing, but whatever. Our flights got canceled again and again. We had to stay there overnight. Just made it in time to the game. We got there the morning of the game, and we left on the 1st. Game was on the 4th. But yeah, game was great. You know, it's the first time I got to see my team play in the stadium.
I'm just like pinching myself.
And, it's unfortunate we drew 1-1, but that's just a quick, brief overview of what happened. Absolutely crazy. I'll throw up a couple of pictures now of the KLM desks and being empty, and the KLM, what you call them? It's like the booths where you go to get a new ticket if your flight was canceled or delayed or whatever, and you need a new ticket. But, it was completely empty, deserted. No one would help. So, yeah, that's been a whole conundrum. And, yeah, it is now the 17th. Yesterday, I got my bag back. My parents still don't have their bags. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is about training while traveling. So, first and foremost, when you're on vacation, you don't lose all your fitness. If you're away on vacation for 1, 2, even 2.5 weeks, you're not going to lose all of your fitness. But there are a few things that I would like to say, that I would like to highlight in this video when traveling, when training while traveling. The first thing I'm going to go through is how to properly prepare for training while traveling. The second thing is I'm going to be talking about how to adjust for time change, so jet lag. And then lastly, I'm going to flip the page here, is talking about some nutrition while traveling. Those are the three basic premises of what I want to cover in this video. First thing I want to talk about is how to properly prepare for training when traveling. And the first thing is to know a rough plan of what you're going to do while you're away. What I like to do is I like to get a rough guide of where we're going to be going, what we're going to be doing, times, and allocating just little blocks of space of time to be training while away on vacation. So with this trip, a little bit disrupted thing. I had a plan set out, because I knew the agenda. I knew what we were going to be doing while we were there. I knew that we were going to have quite a bit of time in the mornings, and then the afternoons were going to be a little bit more busy. So I wanted to get my workouts done a little bit earlier. Granted, again, things change. It happens, is what it is. You just adjust while you're on the fly. But having a rough plan and knowing what you're going to be doing out there means that you don't have to be worrying about when you can get in a training session, and it reduces the kind of stress that you have to place onto your training. You're on vacation, enjoy yourself a little bit. You don't have to worry about your training so much because you're not going to be getting that most optimal training while you're on vacation. You're not going to have all of your gear. There are constricting factors to it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is just have a rough guide, have a plan, know what you're going to be doing when you're out there, and then adjust accordingly. Secondly, pack and plan accordingly. The plan accordingly, same as what I just mentioned again. The packing stuff though, as an Ironman triathlete, you can't get it all in. All right, it's very difficult. It depends on where you're going on vacation though. We went to Manchester. There's not going to be a lot of swimming opportunities there. I'm not going to be swimming in the canal, especially in January when the canals are frozen. If you want to find a local gym with a swimming pool, go right ahead and do that. That works too. But don't compromise your vacation because you wanted to get that training session, because you're told that you need to get that training session in for that day. Adjust it. You can have some flexibility with your training. It doesn't have to be so rigid and stern. Granted, I know I was like that. If people know me here, you'll know that I've been like that, and I've been like that for years and years and years now. You don't have to be so stuck up about it. You can adjust on the fly. Like for me, when I did there, the hotel gym had a treadmill. There were some good running opportunities outside. Unfortunately, we weren't there for very long in Manchester, and it was kind of a disaster. But they had a nice treadmill, got 2 runs in there, and then they also had a rower, a semi-decent, not really, but somewhat of a strength training setup. Wasn't a lot. Wasn't crazy, but it allowed me to get something in. And, getting blood flow, getting blood moving, that's key. That's good.
and keeping consistent and making sure you're still getting in some type of workout. You don't have to get in the exact workout, but some type of workout is definitely very helpful. And last but not least, last note that I made here on my little note sheet here, don't beat yourself up over missed training. Things happen. I got my flights got canceled 3 different times. We arrived 2 days late. Things happen. I didn't have a gym accessible to me while we were in Amsterdam. We're stuck in Amsterdam. So it is what it is. It's all right. I mean, I still did push-ups in the hotel lobby. And I went into that. They had the worst gym I've ever seen. But I got a little bit in. I couldn't push it too hard because I didn't have any spare clothes. So yeah, that was pretty disgusting. Anyway, moving on. Next topic that I want to talk about here is how to adjust for travel with the time change. So basically, how do you adjust for jet lag? So I have 6 different steps here for combating jet lag that I wanted to talk about. And the first one is, if it's a long flight, try to sleep in the first half of the flight. This helps you to realign your internal clock with the new time zone. So for me, when we flew to Amsterdam, it was an overnight flight. It was I think it's a 5-hour difference. Sleeping in the first half of the flight meant that my circadian rhythm doesn't get entirely screwed up. I'm going to explain that in a later step a little bit more. And it also helps to maximize rest for overnight flights, right? Because if it's an overnight flight, your flight is usually going to be later in the day from where you are. Like from me example, we flew out of JFK. Flying out of JFK, it was, I think, 5 or 6 o'clock. I don't remember. Somewhere around there was when the flight was scheduled to leave. And it's an 8-hour flight, so you sleep in the first half of the flight. You're not going to get the best restful sleep. It's not going to be the greatest. I think my sleep score for that night was like a 40 out of 100. Not great, but at least it's something. And it does help your body adjust. Second tip I want to highlight here is attempt to be awake for at least 12 hours from when you wake up to when you expect to go to sleep. So this is why you sleep in the first half of an overnight flight, because when you get there, you're going to be shifted, for me, 5 hours ahead. So it was going to be, I think we got there at 7 a.m., I believe, 8 a.m. So 12 hours, go to sleep around 8:30, 8, around there, 13 hours, give or take, around that area. And this, again, helps with circadian rhythm. It doesn't completely screw up your internal clock, and it makes sure that you get adequate rest and that you're not overly tired and overly fatigued and you're trying to kind of chug through the day. Just a quick little note here that I wanted to throw in while I was going through the footage for this video. Overnight flights cause jet lag by disrupting the body's internal 24-hour clock, that's what the circadian rhythm is. And it regulates your sleep, it regulates hormones like melatonin and your body temperature. And because the body remains in the departure time zone when you leave. So for example, for me, I was leaving out of JFK, leaving from New York. At the time, it was about 6 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening. And then when we got to our destination, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. But it was only 8 hours. It was still 8 hours to fly there. So my body was still, and my internal clock still thought that it was 2 o'clock in the morning, because it still thinks that I'm on the time zone of New York rather than the time zone in Amsterdam. So that causes a misalignment, and it causes a lot of fatigue. It can cause insomnia and confusion until the body synchronizes, which is usually about a day in the new time zone. Like that one day is just crap. Granted, it always is. It's not. You're not going to be feeling your greatest. You're sitting on a plane for 8 hours. You're never going to feel great from sitting for 8 hours. It's just how it is. Third tip I want to talk about here is avoid alcohol and caffeine. Specifically, I want to talk about caffeine. I don't do anything with alcohol. I don't drink. I'm 20. I don't drink. So never touched alcohol, never will. But for caffeine, it blocks the adenosine receptors. So throughout the day, the body and the mind there's a buildup of adenosine. Adenosine makes you more fatigued, a little bit tired, and then when you go to sleep, you have the most adenosine, and when you go to sleep, it drains out and it resets back when you wake up in the morning. Caffeine blocks the adenosine receptors within the brain. So the natural flow of adenosine is disrupted, and then when the caffeine wears off, caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours, which is when the adenosine would start to be able to flow back into the adenosine receptors, it can then cause what people call a caffeine crash. When you feel really awake because you had that hit of caffeine, you feel good, and then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, it just hits and you drop. You just become overly fatigued and you get a wave of exhaustion. That's the caffeine crash, basically with adenosine blocking the adenosine receptors. So that's why you should try and stay away from caffeine, avoid it, because that can, if you feel that tired, it's going to screw up your circadian rhythm, it's going to screw up your internal clock, and then you're not going to get as restful sleep. Next up, wake up at a standard time when you're there. So maintain a consistent circadian rhythm. This is what I wanted to talk about. And this is what I mentioned a little bit before. Waking up at a usual time. So if you're waking up when you're at home at, let's say, 6 a.m., try and keep that. Okay. The first day is going to be a little bit of an adjustment. It's always going to be because overnight travel, it's always going to be a little bit more impactful, a little bit different, and you can't be perfect, is what I'm trying to say. By maintaining a consistent time for when you're waking up, your body doesn't have to readjust to a new time and doesn't have to adjust its clock to, let's say, you wake up instead, you decide when you're on vacation, instead of waking up at 6 a.m., you go to 8 a.m. Your body doesn't have to cope and deal with a different output of adenosine. So what I mean by this is when you switch over to waking up at 8 a.m. rather than 6 a.m., the mind, does not release adenosine. It gets confused of when it should be releasing adenosine. It's used to releasing adenosine starting at 6 a.m. when you wake up, not at 8 a.m., which is a new time. That's 2 hours difference there. A little bit hard to explain. Next, I think this is kind of self-explanatory, hopefully. Exercise in the morning, not very hard, for blood flow. So when you get there, when you get to your destination, whatever, the first day, take it easy. It's going to be an overnight flight. You're going to get there, okay? The next morning, though, that's when I want you to get in a workout. Get some blood moving, get some blood flowing through the muscles. Your muscles are going to be sore. They're going to be fatigued. And you're not going to be performing at an optimal level. But by exercising, you're getting blood flow, you're promoting it, you're realizing, all right, your body is realizing, hey, we're getting back into the training mode here. Starts to fire up and things start to feel a little bit better. And it also helps with promoting better sleep throughout your stay. Last but not least, I want to mention naps. Only nap if necessary and only briefly. So try and keep it less than 90 minutes. 60 to 90 minutes is generally a good nap range of time, and keep it to the morning. Don't nap after 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, can shift circadian rhythm and reduce the quality of your sleep. Hopefully that's kind of self-explanatory, but again, and I'm going to pose this too. I want to say, comment down below what you guys do for adjusting for travel with the time change for jet lag. I'm actually kind of interested. I want to see what people say about that. All right, last thing is nutrition while you're traveling. This is a big topic for me, and this is something that's really important to me because I love talking about nutrition. And while you're on vacation, there are a couple of, I don't know how I want to phrase this. There are a couple of stipulations, I suppose, and things people get into their head about nutrition while you're traveling. So I've got 5 things I want to list here that I wrote down. First things first, you can indulge in a nice meal while you're on vacation, all right? You're on vacation, enjoy yourself a little bit. Enjoy it, all right? You're with family, you're out with them, and you find a nice pizza spot in Naples, go and enjoy it with them. Enjoy that. I personally don't. I know that sounds a bit contradictory, but it's because I get into it a bit too much. I'm so crazy about my nutrition that I don't really allow myself to indulge at all. I always try to keep it exactly how I've been having it while at home. That's just me. I definitely don't recommend that. I don't think it's a very sustainable practice. I've just been doing it for so long and I've been so adjusted to it that it's just like if I do try and indulge in a nice meal, I feel super guilty about it. Again, that's just me. One thing I will say about it though is don't make it a habit, right? Enjoy yourself for a meal, but don't make it a habit, right? While you're on vacation there, still try and eat healthy, still try and, relatively healthy. Don't have a burger and fries for lunch, pizza for dinner, wake up the next day and have waffles for breakfast and then repeat the same cycle over. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't completely screw up your nutrition while you're there. Make sure that you're still getting an adequate amount of vegetables, an adequate amount of fruits. Make sure that you're getting a good amount of protein, good amount of carbs, healthy fats, fiber, etc. Still make sure that you are loosely following a guideline. Next up, limit airport and airplane food as much as possible. When you're in an airport, there's two things here. One, you bring your own food and snacks and whatever, it's going to be cheaper. Airports charge an extortionate amount of money for food and for drinks. Obviously, you can't bring your own drink into the airport. That's fine. Just get some water while you're there. Or some of them actually, if you bring an empty bottle, you can fill it up at like a refill station. Not all airports have that, but some do. Most do actually, I think. Bring your own food options. When we travel, I bring a protein bar. My grandparents, it's funny. Me and my parents make fun of my grandma on my mom's side for always bringing an apple with her on the plane. Every single time, without fail. Whenever we travel together, she always brings an apple. Are you allowed to do that? Does she do it? But she's a health nut. She always likes eating healthy, and that's something I can really value and respect. Make sure that you choose wisely. If you're gonna be eating in an airport and buying airport food there, choose wisely. And I would definitely recommend, if you can, pick out an option. If you need to, pick out an option in the airport for food, rather than waiting to get on the airplane and have food on the airplane. It's not going to be as good. It's not going to taste as good, number one, most likely. And number two, it's nutritionally not going to be as good. They tend to have lower protein. It tends to be more on the unhealthy side. It's going to be more processed. It's going to be more bland, basic. You get the idea. All right. Tip number 3 with nutrition, stay adequately hydrated. That's self-explanatory, but what I'm going to add on to that, make sure that you bring some type of electrolytes. Your muscles are not going to be, you're not as active, you're not functioning as much. So getting some electrolytes to the muscles that are just sitting there, they've been sitting stagnant for hours, they can become more prone to cramping. So that's why I'd recommend bringing like a liquid IV or something of that ilk, something that's lower calorie, no sugar. You don't need to fuel like you're fueling for a race. You just need a little bit of electrolytes to keep the muscles properly functioning. That's really it. Number 4, focus more on protein and satiating meal options. You're gonna have a reduced training load. You don't have to worry so much about carbs getting into the body for more ATP for the muscles. You don't need the energy there. It doesn't make sense. So focus more on protein, muscle recovery, and also focus on satiating meal options, which tend to have more protein and more fiber, because you don't want to overindulge in an airport or on the airplane. You don't need to eat unnecessarily because you're going to be stagnant for a while. So make sure that you focus on something with high fiber, something like a banana, if you're looking for carbs or you're looking for fiber. And that's also a good source of fruit, obviously, and focus more on protein. So what I tend to go for is like a chicken wrap when I'm at the airport, if I'm really hungry and I didn't have lunch, because it tends to be a long drive to the airport. So when you get there, if you missed a meal because of traveling to the airport, make sure you focus on protein and satiating meal options. Last but not least, this kind of goes back to the first one. Enjoy the local food. When you're on vacation, enjoy it. You know, going to Italy, you're going to find a bunch of Italian dishes. Don't try and stick to a strict regimen because you know that, oh, I need to get more protein in because I'm on vacation. I'm going to have a reduced training load. So I should focus a little bit more on emphasizing protein intake for muscle recovery. Pump the brakes a little bit. Slow down a second. You're in Italy. If you're in Italy, let's just say you're in Italy, right? And there is this fantastic Italian restaurant that you see there, and they have an assortment of different pasta options. Enjoy that. You can have it, right? Again, just don't overeat and don't binge unnecessarily. You know, keep it. Don't eat because you're in the country or because you're on vacation. Don't overeat because you're away. Eat to the point where you're 80 to 90% full. You feel 80 to 90% full. That's what I tend to do. I don't overeat. I don't power through it. If I don't finish it, I don't finish it. Don't overeat. If the portion size is big and that's what they serve, that's just what the restaurant is known for. You don't need to eat the whole thing. If your parents have ever told you to finish your plate, no, relax. You don't need to eat the entire plate, right? You don't need to overeat. You don't need to binge. That's a bad habit, and that sends you down a bad rabbit hole. Don't do it. You don't need to. And that's it. Like I said, I'm just going to throw in a couple other pointers here. Don't become data obsessed while you're on vacation. Still keep it at a semi-intense level. So I like to keep my training at like an RPE of 4 to 7. It's maintenance. You're not going to be building peak performance, right? This is not a building phase. This is not where you're going into a peak week. No, this is just maintenance. You're on vacation. You're gonna be more fatigued from the travel. You're not gonna have as much access to training equipment as you would at home. It's maintenance. Get the training in, relax, enjoy yourself on vacation. Remember, training should add to the vacation, not take away from it. There's a little quote that I found here. I don't know who it's by, but whoever it is, it's a fantastic quote. Fitness doesn't disappear in a week, but habits do if you let them. Keep consistent, keep the training going, You don't lose fitness within a week. You don't lose it. You tend to start seeing a strength decrease after 2 weeks. It's not very noticeable, but it is there if you don't train for 2 weeks. Just keep it a little bit consistent. You don't have to go all out. You don't have to, do a super intense workout. Just get some base training in, get maintenance training. That's what vacation is about. Enjoying it while you're away. When we go on vacation to a nicer place with a beach, whatever, and it's nice weather, we go out running outside all the time. Or there's an ocean, we go out swimming in the ocean. Because that's fun. It's enjoyable. Yeah, that's it for training while on vacation. I'm just going to throw in here, add my own little personal touch. Because I love Manchester City. Wearing a jersey right now. I love Man City. The game was great. I'll throw up a couple of clips from the game, or I might even throw it in sporadically in the video anyway. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. It's really great. Crazy trip to get there, but no, it was a very good experience. It was very enjoyable. I love the game. Love watching the team play. The stadium tour the day after was really cool. Yeah, it's great. It's nice to get away for a little bit and enjoy it. But yeah, that's all I have for now. That's it for today's video. And as I always say at the end of every video, even though it's been a while since I've filmed, train hard, train frequently, find results. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.